The Source engine and horror, they try to coexist, but don't always meet the mark. The horror landscape of Gmod in today's day has dwindled down to PNG images chasing the player in the back rooms, or just some type of maze-like map, or realism videos that try to sell you the aspect of something watching over them. It's either one of the two. Or, if you were born in the BC era, mediocre maps that have a loud jump scare of a quick Google search of a scary face. The three of these options try their best to highlight that Gmod can be scary, except for the next box. Like, come on bro, you're telling me that a PNG image of Obama chasing you around is scary? But what if I told you that there was a good horror mod that tries its best to tell a unique narrative and implement gameplay from all of these examples that I mentioned earlier? A mod that I believe has stood the test of time on what horror should be when dabbling into working with the Source engine. We're going to have a look at what I believe is one of the better mods that does its hardest in horror and story. It started off as one of the scary Gmod maps into an amazing passion project. This video will dive into why I believe Nightmare House 2 is Half-Life 2's scariest mod. Before we start with what Nightmare House 2 became of in today's date, let's have a brief history lesson. We're going to be looking at the map that was released in Gary's mod. It starts off with us parking outside of the gate of a spooky mansion without any context. It was then that I realized that I had all my weapons equipped, so to ensure that I had the most immersive and raw experience out of this map, I made sure to spawn in without any of them. As you walk past the graveyard, you pass a shed and approach the doorsteps of the mansion. From here, you pick up a crowbar in front of the door, only to have the wardrobe next to you fall. You realize that the front door is completely inaccessible. What you're supposed to do is break open the wood of this sealed bunker to get inside of the house. You're given a pistol and encounter the first enemy of the game, which is the headcrab zombie. After clearing another headcrab, you enter a bedroom with 3 beds. The mattress from these beds suddenly starts being thrown upwards and the lights go out, in which another zombie breaks through the walls. And yeah, he's actually super chill once you get to know him. From there, you enter another room with a couple of poisonous headcrabs. After dealing with them, you realize that the door to move forwards doesn't have a handle. What you're supposed to do here is pick up this baby doll, in which the creepy Half-Life 2 ambience plays, and the wall in front of you breaks, showing a secret passage. You must now platform your way down to the door, and falling does mean that you'll have to restart the map again, since if you do die, the weapons don't respawn. This definitely isn't foreshadowing of what's to come. After this, you're given a real first bit of the lore of what this map is trying to convey, with a woman sitting behind some barricades. Breaking the barricades, she realizes that you're there, only to run off. You try and follow her, and oh. Yeah, it's kind of intense. Walking into the hung body will load the next level trigger. You're now gifted a shotgun and shoot past some more zombies. These zombies seem to have double the health of the base Half-Life 2 ones. It took a lot of shots from the shotgun to deal with the poison headcrab zombies especially. You find a locked door that requires a key, and after clearing out more zombies, you attain it and unlock the door to a staircase, which suddenly locks you in on both sides. The room shakes and the lights go out, only to have the same thing occur in the room after. After a mediocre jump scare and bashing more barricades, you must leap to this door. Below you is a bottomless pit that basically insta-kills you, and what do you know? My game journalist skills kicked in and I died. So I had to restart the entire mod as I had none of the weapons that I previously acquired. So I just speed ran my next try until I finally made the jump. Then my second roadblock came, which is the fact that I previously installed a Stalking G-Man add-on that I forgot to disable. So he was just standing there menacingly. I tried to move him out of the way since the fucker was blocking my path, but eventually died. Another restart. Making it back to where I was without the G-Man blocking my path, I finally made it to the end, where a ton of zombies spawn once you make it out of the mansion. What you're supposed to do here is head straight to your car, where the gate prior is replaced with wooden barricades. After breaking them, you're met with another mediocre jump scare from a stalker from Half-Life 2, and that's where it ends. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'm joking. Since this was one of the better Half-Life 2 mod slash Gmod add-ons, it was given universal praise. The source engine with the use of the Half-Life 2 assets was utilized perfectly. The level design of the house alone feels so claustrophobic, and the enemy placement is so unique to give the player distress and act accordingly. The ambience is also very eerie. Although it's not as scary in today's date, the fact that this 18-year-old add-on still holds up to be a decent horror map is great, and has pioneered a pivotal moment in the modding community, as it was a stepping stone for Gmod horror maps and the passion project known as Nightmare House 2. In 2010, we got the release of Nightmare House 2, developed and published by We Create Studios. It's so exciting to see small mods like this have so much passion and creativity poured into them to grant us an immersive experience. Booting up the game grants us the title screen of Never Lose Hope Hospital, which I will dive into later in this video. A figure can be seen with ominous music in the background. The title screen alone already shows us that this is a massive step up from the regular mod, and sets the underlying creepy and eerie tone of this game, especially in its early chapters. The first chapter of the game is the prologue, which plays out exactly like the horror map I spoke about earlier, but a lot more refined. For starters, the weapons now have custom assets, with each gun being modeled after their real-world counterparts. All the default Half-Life 2 zombies stay the same, but just without their head crab, which makes them look a lot more creepier. But what caught me off guard whilst playing this were the weird whispers I would hear whilst traversing through the mansion, which scared me shitless on my first playthrough. The woman who hung herself in the original map now has been replaced with a unique NPC who is going to be addressed as the vengeful spirit for now. And in terms of lore, the house has been completely plagued by a vengeful spirit who raises these undead creatures to kill the player. It somewhat makes sense since the mansion does have a graveyard in its front lawn, so as you escape the death trap, the woman stops you and leaves you unconscious on the ground. A lot better than the stalker jump scare at the end of the original map. This is where the real Nightmare House begins.
Same as it always was, isn't it? The mind just keeps sending you back again. It's interesting how you can find comfort in any familiar situation, even a familiar nightmare. Wake up. It's time for the real nightmare to begin.
Rebirth has the player waking up. Some time has passed from the prologue as he wakes up in a padded room in a psychiatric ward from a place called Never Lose Hope Hospital, as mentioned by the announcer. From the get-go, you realize that this isn't just a normal hospital, as there are bloodstains all over the floor and the wall. You can't even sprint at this point. Gates have been forced open and props are just laying there in unusual positions. After making it to an office, you pick up a flashlight that now displays your health, as well as the ability to sprint and use objects. I guess the flashlight had unbelievable abilities and knowledge that transcends our very way of life. Flipping on a switch opens a gate for you to progress through. That's until the radio on the desk suddenly switches on.
Hello? Can you hear me? Yes, I'm talking to you. Look, if you want to get out of here, then do exactly as I say. I know you have a lot of questions, but for now it's absolutely vital that you get here as quickly as you can. First, we're going to need to get you armed. Head to the cafeteria, then to the kitchen. You'll find a surprise waiting for you there. You'll need it.
A mysterious voice urges you to go to the cafeteria, hinting that there will be a surprise that awaits us. Inside of the cafeteria, you find a dead body with an axe lodged into its chest. Picking up the axe and trying to head outside has the body reanimate itself. This scare was a unique way of introducing the first enemy type of the game, which are the zombies. The axe has two methods of use, with the primary being swings, like the crowbar in Half-Life, and the secondary attack being a heavy swing that takes up more time to charge up, but one taps a common zombie. It's a game of risk and reward. Throughout this chapter, you will see glimpses of a figure that's always running out of your sight, from the corner of your eyes. After more guidance guidance from the mysterious man in the office, you head into a little workspace right outside an elevator shaft. Flipping on the switch and grabbing a pistol grants us the first friendly NPC in the game. This is Dr. Romero, and the only living person in this building besides you. Before you could give the good news, the same figure that has been stalking you is now facing you from the window. Heading out of the office has her completely disappear, with your only option being to head into the elevator, which doesn't end well. This chapter has to be where the scares pick up. After a brazy elevator shaft ride and some puzzles, you are now set to roam the abandoned halls of the hospital, encountering zombies along your way, as well as the creepy figure that's been stalking you. Dr. Romero also guides you throughout the hospital, opening doors for you to progress, as well as giving you some well-rounded and logical advice.
My word of advice to you is to keep an eye out and a gun close. I'm unlocking the main doors. Keep moving.
The zombies here seem to be previous patients of Never Lose Hope Hospital. The announcer is also very jolly and breaks the fourth wall at times, a complete contrast to the eerie aspect of this chapter.
Here at Never Lose Hope Hospital, we are taking great care to ensure the comfort and tranquility of our patients. You can find vending machines and television sets in all waiting areas. Please enjoy them as you leave.
She's almost mocking the situation as you progress. You also encounter more hallucinations here, giving you cryptic messages and imagery that can only make sense in the endgame. I also wanted to point out just how good the lighting here is. Some of the rooms lock you into confined spaces and force you to rely on your flashlight, which sets up some very intense moments. There's also no music, so your only comfort is the ambience of the lonely, plagued hospital. Maintenance has you explore the underground parts of the creepy hospital. The creepy hallucinations and things appearing at the corner of your eye are still present. After reaching yet another office, you pick up a revolver that's conveniently placed on the desk, only for Dr. Romero to speak with you through the monitors.
For like 30 minutes. No idea what happened, but I'm glad you're back. Look, I know you can see her. She wants something from you. Just be careful. The rest of the hall is blocked by rubble. Let me think. Oh yeah, go back to the laundry room. If I'm right about this, there should be an air vent behind the third washing machine. Go check it out.
What's important here is that he mentions the girl that has been constantly stalking you and confirms that he knows about her presence in the hospital. He then guides you on where to go, which is where the underground portion of the game begins. What I enjoyed during some of these parts is the fact that you're smacked by what seems to be nothing, only losing 2 HP in the process. It throws you off guard, especially when the flashlight starts to flicker, sending you into a sudden array of panic as you feel as if a zombie has caught up to you. You then encounter a new enemy type, which is the armored zombie. These things limp at a fast pace towards you, and conventional weapons don't seem to harm them, so your best course of action is to use the axe every time you're met with them, which is a good mechanic as it gives the melee weapon a unique responsibility in the game. Hallucinations are also once again apparent, with the notable ones being creepy shadow people that you cannot get close to, or they will knock off a bit of your HP. The next one caught me off guard. The hallway gets narrower each time you turn, and when it's reduced down to a small box, the spirit is there, staring directly down at you before more cryptic flashbacks play and you're sent down into a pit. Operation is your array of hope. After wandering around aimlessly, surviving the horrors and only being guided by a man behind a monitor, we finally have been given information that help is finally coming. You can see the soldiers wandering around. That's before you're suddenly thrown into another hallucination sequence. This time, a new enemy is teased that is known as the creepy zombie. You see this thing in the previous chapter, but this time you're in its domain and have to run as if you're in some sort of limbo or a pocket dimension. You hear the screams of the creature before suddenly being thrown into another small office where the military finally sees you on the other side of the glass.
That's not the target. You there, can you hear us? Stay away from the door. We'll bust it open.
Sir, I don't think we should be getting too friendly with the patient. We don't even know why he's still here.
That's exactly why we need him. He seems to be pretty familiar with the place, and we need that in order to complete the objective. Besides, I'm pretty sure he needs us just as much as we need him.
Yes, sir.
Stay away from the door.
Don't try anything funny. I've got my eye on you.
HQ? Come in, HQ. What the hell? All I'm getting is static. Communications were fine a few minutes ago. I don't know who you are or why you're here, but there's no time for introductions. We're on a search and destroy mission. Join us and maybe we'll all have a chance of getting out of here in one piece. Sir, I think I saw something. Alright, ladies, let's move. You seem like you know your way around here. Do you mind taking point? Don't worry, we'll cover you.
The voice acting here is pretty good, and the guys have very realistic reactions to what's happening around them. You have Alpha 1, the leader of the squad, Leroy Graves, Mike and Johnson. Their mission is a search and destroy objective, as explained by Alpha 1. These guys honestly make me feel safe. They follow your lead and provide cover fire for you. This is where the game becomes a lot more action oriented, but still make sure to hold on to the horror aspect. As you traverse, you realize that one of the soldiers is missing, which is Johnson. This is actually pretty crazy because you've already been conditioned to believe that these guys are here to save you and always stay by your side. So to have one of them ambiguously disappear makes it abundantly clear that nobody is safe in Never Lose Hope Hospital, even as a group. After being put into what seems like a lobby, Johnson's SMG falls out of the vent on top of the locked door, which is where these weird Demogorgon-like zombies, which are called creepers in the official wiki, attack you. After just barely managing to escape, the platform falls and you're forced to part with Alpha Squad. Dead Signal is the highlight of Nightmare House 2, being the longest chapter of the game. You meet with Dr. Romero again, informing you that help has arrived and there's a chopper waiting outside for us to all evacuate in. He lets us know that we have to reach a radio room and power it up for him to contact them, which is what we're now tasked to do, as we haven't got the slightest clue where Alpha Squad is. The next segment has now scared me forever when it comes to approaching mannequins. It seems like they're always following you when your back is turned, even hitting you at points, only for you to turn around to realize that they've gotten significantly closer. There's even a point where you see one of the soldiers on the other side of the window, giving you a ray of hope that you'll finally be able to see them again, only for you to make it inside that exact room and realize that it was just the mannequins playing tricks on you. I love this method of subverting expectations, as it shows that we as humans are willing to do anything to find another one of our kind just to not be alone in this mess. You then finally see what has become of Johnson, as the vengeful spirit is kneeling before him, almost communicating to him or mourning him in a sense, before leaving. After powering up the radio from causing a fire from the electricals, you now must run whilst the entire place is being overrun by flames. You come across a locked door, to which the fire catches up to you. It seems like the end. That's until the vengeful spirit emerges from the flames and pushes you into a door, which forces it open, having her save you from the flames. But why did she save you? Another very important hallucination involves you being a patient, in which these zombie-like doctors are performing surgeries on you as the spirit is watching. After that, you wake up with the soldiers. The level has more action-heavy sequences as you and the squad are clearing through the car parks and tunnels. And I love how they slander the level design here, as they get really tired of the locked doors and just shoot them open for you.
Okay, one locked door's enough. We don't have time for this. Move aside. I always wanted to do this. After you. Alright, we'll take another door we have to blow. Let some firepower do the trick. Lead the way.
It seems as if you're not the only one who experiences these hallucinations and whispers, as one of your squad members, Mike, goes completely insane and readies his weapon to fire at Alpha 1.
Not yourself right now.
Get ready. We might have to react if this turns violent.
It's all your fault. It's all your fault, you son of a bitch. I'm not gonna let you do it. Drop the gun.
This isn't looking good. Get ready to shoot.
My eyes are open now. I can see what you really are. I'm gonna send you back to hell where you belong, you son of a bitch. Help!
Oh shit! Shoot!
It's at this point where you're forced to kill him, delivering a headshot to him with your revolver, unfortunately game ending him. This was a hard decision to make, as this is the second squad member to die, leaving only 2 left. Leroy is the next squad member to die, as he's catching his breath against a garage door that suddenly opens up, which gives the zombies a chance to grab his leg and pull him under, ripping him to shreds.
I gotta catch my breath.
There's no time. We're almost at the evac point. Holy shit. Oh my god, we gotta get the hell out of here now. I know the way. Follow me.
Now, it's just you and Alpha 1. He decides to abandon the mission after realizing that this place is a complete death trap, and you both barely make it out to the landing zone. Finally, the chopper is coming to rescue you. Nope, strange waves cause the pilot to feel in a state of daze, causing him to suddenly crash into you. You just barely survived the helicopter crash. Unfortunately, Alpha 1 doesn't. His last and dying wish for you is to stop this mess, as he reveals that the search and destroy mission that he and his squad mates were after was Dr. Romero, about how the house from the prologue ties into what he's been hiding underground. And after he orders you to waste him, Alpha 1 bleeds out. Rest in peace, soldier. You take his shotgun, now heading towards the working elevator, in which Dr. Romero explains that he heard everything. So he gives you 2 choices: either leave the hospital, as he kindly stops the elevator at the front entrance of Never Lose Hope Hospital, or face him head on. Leaving the hospital grants us with one last announcement.
Hope Hospital. We hope you had a pleasant and an enjoyable stay. Don't go out.
It's after this that you discover that you were never supposed to leave, as the vengeful spirit kills you on the spot, giving you the bad ending. I'll explain why the spirit kills you after leaving the hospital rather than having every single opportunity to crush you on each encounter later. Making the choice to face Romero head-on leads you to his secret lair, where he's been hiding this entire time, showing that the vengeful spirit was actually his wife, with the Prologue house in the background. There are also blueprints of a machine that's called the core, which is the reason why these seismic waves are happening and why the pilot of the helicopter crashed. The core is responsible for the numerous hallucinations that you've been experiencing. Since the core works off radio signals, this was the reason why Romero asked you to turn on the radio in the previous chapters. The core is also the prime reason for making the soldier you shot earlier completely paranoid. The machine makes its targets succumb to hallucinations capable of killing them. This machine would also ward off the vengeful spirit and prevent it from killing him. It is likely that these hallucinations, quote unquote, hurting people, are making people simply hurt themselves, believing that something else is inflicting wounds on them, which also explains why you're suddenly hit in dark spaces, or it simply makes their heart stop due to stress. Dr. Romero accidentally killed his wife with the early version of this machine. My theory here is that the wife hung herself in the Prologue house due to the intense dysphoria that the early versions of the core produced, and has been following him ever since to seek revenge, but can't due to the core restricting her from getting close to him. There's also journal entries about how Romero wanted to kill you, the patient, between the events of the prologue and the first chapter, when you wake up in the ward, forcing you to become yet another mindless zombie in the hospital. However, the spirit was there to protect you and force him away, as the power of the core wasn't strong enough to reach that part of the hospital. So yeah, Romero is a bad guy. Fuck him. The quote-unquote boss fight of the game is to take down the core by smashing apart its wooden frame with the axe. The core spawns creepers along the way that you must deal with. Romero also tries his best to throw you into more hallucinations from the core, but this time the vengeful spirit is here to stop every single one, refusing to let you die. Upon shattering it, Romero is just about to kill you. That's before the spirit appears, to which is revealed to be known as Emily. She completely folds him and splatters him before turning around to thank you for letting her finally rest. It seems that she saves your life after the credits roll, as you hear a heartbeat monitor indicating that you've survived, and it's very fitting with the whole hospital theme of Nightmare House 2. And yeah, that's where the game ends. After putting the pieces together, Emily was never there to stop or kill you. She was always trying to get you out of the hallucinations and guide you away from danger. Of course, at the time, the player believes that she's just a ghost girl that's haunting the place, but the real enemy in the end was your guide, Dr. Romero. This also explains why Emily outright kills you if you decide to leave Never Lose Hope Hospital. The fact that she's done all of this to keep you alive only to have you leave her to forever haunt this place in agony shows that you have betrayed her trust, and she has no use for someone who wouldn't seek justice for the evil that Romero has caused. He boasts on about how nothing will change after the core is broken and gloats about killing the Alpha Squad, making him someone who doesn't care about the cost of lives for the sake of his invention, proud of his work. There's also a funny Easter egg in every map if you no-clip out of the map and into his office. He ridicules you for cheating and not playing as intended. But all of this makes it all the more justifiable for Emily to be the one to kill him, overall becoming the anti-villain of the story. So yeah, a fitting plot twist that makes sense in terms of morality and justice. Overall, Nightmare House 2 is one of the best Half-Life 2 mods that I've ever played, and deserves its praise. Although many Half-Life 2 mods attempt to expand the lore of the base game with different perspectives, Nightmare House 2 shares its own entire story and does not tie into the main game whatsoever, which makes it all the more unique. Although some of the horror aspects of the game lose their fear factor when close to the end, they never actually lose their gripe of catching the player off guard, especially with the unique mechanics like the shadow people, the mannequins, and completely breaking the fourth wall at times.
We would like to take a minute of your time to notify you. There is something behind you.
With this, I believe that it was successful with its horror, as there are many moments in the game that had me playing slightly further away due to the inevitable anticipation of its scares. If you haven't already played this mod, check it out, because I was taken back by just how polished and groundbreaking a mod that came out in 2005 is. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth analysis of Nightmare House 2. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the mod. And hey, if you made it this far, a like, comment, and even a subscription would be very much appreciated. I absolutely love diving into obscure horror titles and just video games in general, so feel free to check out my other stuff. Once again, thanks for watching.